Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, April the 24th. I'm Clay Emo at Canuck Clay on Twitter, and I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. 7 of the 8 NHL playoff series are now in the books. We are just waiting for a winner to emerge from Boston and Toronto. Toronto forcing a Game 7 with their spirited 3-1 win in Toronto last night. And right off the bat, I want to extend my condolences, my thoughts, and certainly my prayers to the victims of the Toronto tragedy yesterday. I believe the death toll is up to 10 now, so we pray for the repose of those people's souls, and of course for the dozens who were injured, and for everyone who was affected. That corner, Yonge and Finch, I don't know Toronto very well, but I do know that I was there eating at a restaurant on that corner just last summer when I was visiting a good friend of mine. And that same friend told me that the school that his kids were at was on lockdown yesterday, which is crazy. I can't imagine what that's like. So, again, my prayers to everyone affected. And needless to say, I held my kids and my wife a little bit tighter last night. And it's pretty crazy how a lot of these things are happening. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see if Toronto is able to continue with that rally, their comeback, and win this first round, and then that would be the last of the 8 series, as I mentioned. At the very end of this at the very end of this video, I'll give a quick update on my 3 playoff pool teams. Okay, today I want to talk about Elias Pettersson, the golden boy, so to speak. And it's really interesting. Last June, when the Canucks drafted Pettersson 5th overall, I put a video out. It's actually got 21,000 views on YouTube. I don't know how. I think a lot of Swedish people or people in Sweden are watching it. But regardless, at that time, I admitted that I didn't know a lot about Pettersson. I knew about Glass and Middlestat and Velarde, the other centers that basically were pegged in the 4 to 6 range that the Canucks might pick. And of course, they ended up taking Pettersson. So I looked up a lot of things, watched a lot of videos. And this was last year, remember. This was last June, before he had his monster season this year in the Swedish Elite League. And even back then, I tried to outline, I didn't try. I outlined 5 reasons why I thought it was a good pick for the Canucks. Obviously, as you know, I take the positive aspect of everything. And a lot of people didn't know a lot about Pettersson, but I said these 5 things. I said, number 1, his skill was undeniable. His hands, his shot, his vision, his creativity. I said, number 2, the fact that he was playing against men for a second straight year. He was going into a second year in the Swedish Elite League. So, playing against men as opposed to junior or college men, but playing against grown professional hockey players, so that would be an advantage. Number 3, I said his ceiling was very high, especially compared to the other players. You could see that maybe his ceiling could be the highest among all those drafted last year. Number 4, I said there's built-in chemistry with Jonathan Dahlen already, even though they didn't play on the same team this past season. There is chemistry there, and you know that they are very good friends. And I kind of joked about, wow, maybe we have another pair of Swedes that can play on our top line. And number 5, I basically said that, what did I say? Oh, just that he was very likable. In watching the YouTube videos last year of when he got drafted, he seemed to have a really good personality. And I've heard him this season in interviews that he's kind of borderline, he's certainly not cocky, but he is very confident, as he should be. And that was last June. That was June 2017. And I basically forecasted that, he would come over here this year now, and then maybe spend 1 or 2 years in Utica. And that I think no one would have really debated that fact. But it's amazing the difference that 1 year makes. This year, as we know, he tore it up in the Swedish Elite League, leading his team to a victory. He had the most points in the regular season. He had the most points in the playoffs of all players. He's the highest scoring, under 20 age player. That wasn't very clear. For guys under the age of 20, he has the highest points total ever in that league, beating very strong players out like the Sedins. And then lastly, he was the playoff MVP as well in leading his team to the final and to the championship. So he's had a massive season, and now Canucks fans are looking forward to seeing him in the lineup, the pro lineup, the Vancouver Canucks lineup, starting this October, starting this season, as opposed to starting the season in Utica. So, we're hearing less about, his frame and how skinny he is and how slight he is, because you don't have to be, I've heard a lot of people actually coming on the other side of that recently and saying, yeah, he has to put on a few pounds, but not necessarily a lot. He doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to worry about gaining 20 or 25 pounds to get up to 190, 195. He could play at 170 or 180, but we'll see. There's a lot of smarter people than me who have played hockey who know that. Yeah, now that I think about it, you don't see a lot of 170-pound players around, but who knows? Maybe he has the skill set to do so, and we'll see how much weight he puts on with his his weight training and his workouts over the summer. The other thing that was interesting is last season we weren't talking about the Sedins retiring. And with the Sedins retirement, obviously that opens up 2 full-time roster spots up front. And maybe guys like Pettersson, Dahlin, and Gaudette, who maybe, you know, were kind of be borderline for the roster next year. Now there's an opening right there. And I've talked in the past about, we know that the locks are guys like Besser and Horvat, and presuming they're all signed, Berchi, Granlund, Virtanen, and then Sutter, Eriksson, and Gagne. So that's 8 spots already. Then, you know, you have a couple like maybe Leipzig and maybe Godolphin, so that's 9 or 10. So there are 2 more spots that a bunch of guys are going to be fighting for, including Pettersson. So, you know, given his big season, given that there's a lot of hype around him, it's crazy to think that next year, if he does make the team, start with the team, and he starts off really well, can you imagine that there might even be more attention put on Elias Pettersson than there is on Brock Besser, which would seem unfathomable, you know, given Brock Besser's great year and how it was cut short by injury and how everyone's excited. Calder Trophy nominee, how we're all excited to see what he does in his sophomore year. But just imagine for Canucks fans that they'll have Brock Besser in the lineup, and imagine an Elias Pettersson that's ready to go and ready to contribute at the NHL level. It might be asking a lot for a rookie, but we saw what Besser did this year. Maybe Pettersson can repeat it next year. So you can tell I'm excited. I'm very excited, and I think those 2 things, the fact that Pettersson had a monster year in the Swedish Elite League and the fact that the Sedins retired, opening up 2 roster spots, I think those are 2 major factors. And when put together, it's opening up well. It's a great situation. Basically, the opportunity is there for Elias Pettersson to take it, and I know I'd be super excited and super happy if he did indeed take it, grasp it, ran with it, skated with it, whatever the cliche is, and just made it his own. And wow, if add a draft lottery win of Rasmus Dahlin, and our rebuild could be sped up by 2 or 3 years. We'll see. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see if he even makes the team next year. Let's see how we do in the draft lottery this Saturday, which we'll talk about later in the week. But overall, I'm excited. It's sunny. I'm in a good mood. And that's what I wanted to share today about Elias Pettersson. Again, I'm going to link in the description below, I'm going to link to the video I made last year with the 21,000 views. Crazy, but I'll link it down there. And you can take a look at what I said about Elias Pettersson last June. And please forgive my pronunciations. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing his name properly, but I know it was much worse even last year than it was today. Lastly, a quick update on my hockey pools. Very quickly, as you know, I have 2 teams in my church pool. There's only 7 guys in that one, and I have 1 team in my mom's work pool, and there are, I think, 15 or 16 teams in that one. In my church guys pool, I'm sitting in 3rd place, just 4 points out of 1st, but I feel really good about that team because I had all 16 players of my 16 guys go through on that team, Team Clay. I have 5 Lightning, 4 Vegas Golden Knights, 4 Nashville Predators, and 3 Pittsburgh Penguins. And all those guys, actually, it's 4 Penguins and 3 Nashville Predators. But regardless, all 16 guys, all 4 teams went through for me. The Lightning, the Penguins, the Predators, and the Vegas Golden Knights. So that team, and that team's only 4 points out of 1st. I really think that team will do well and take over 1st place halfway through the 2nd round. My second team in that pool, the Emo team, that's 16 guys obviously as well. 3 of them were Kings, so they're out. Another 3 are Maple Leafs, so that'll be close. And the rest are Winnipeg Jets and Washington Capitals. But if the Maple Leafs lose, then 6 of my 16 guys are gone, leaving me with only 10, 5 Capitals, 5 Jets. And I'm too far behind in with that team already. So as much as that team will be good if Washington and Winnipeg win another round, I think that my first team, my Clay team, has a much better chance, giving all 16 guys are still in, going to the 2nd round. And lastly, for my mom's work pool, I'm sitting in 4th out of 15 or 16 teams there. This is the big money pool. This is the one where I have all Nashville guys, 6 Nashville guys, and then I actually have Seth Jones, who's out, and then I have 1 Maple Leaf, I can't remember, Marlowe, and then I have... is it Marlowe? Yeah. And then I have Brett Connolly of the Capitals, and then Derek Brassard of Pittsburgh. So if the Leafs win, I'll still send 9 of 10 guys through, but really I'm counting on my 6 Nashville guys that include Forsberg, Yossi, and Subban. So we'll see how that goes. I'm only 4 points out of 3rd place there, but Nashville's, even though they're advancing, they're not scoring a lot, as we know. So not so sure how that team's going to do, but I'll have a much better idea, obviously, after the 2nd round. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Give this video a like. And most importantly, leave a comment below. I'd love to read and react to it. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos and to leave your thoughts down below. What do you think about Elias Pettersson? What do you think about him given his season? And do you think he's got a legit shot to make next year's team? And if so, what kind of impact do you think he will have as a rookie? God bless, and go Canucks go.